Have you ever wondered what Hollywood was truly capable of before the rules came crashing down? From lost souls in haunted mansions to deranged scientists and sinister masked killers, this list proves that classic cinema can be far more terrifying than you ever imagined. And trust us, the film at number 2 is the wildest of them all, a shocking entry that still defies explanation nearly a century later. Tonight, we're counting down the top 11 most disturbing horror films made in pre-code Hollywood. Let's begin. Number 11. White Zombie, 1932. Few films in horror history can lay claim to birthing an entire subgenre, but White Zombie does exactly that. Set against a haunting Haitian backdrop, this film introduces the world to the figure of the zombie. Not the flesh eaters we know today, but the living dead, doomed to serve a cruel master. Bela Lugosi commands the screen as Murder Legendre, a sugar plantation owner with supernatural powers over the dead. It's not the shuffling ghouls or moaning spirits that unsettle, it's the film's sheer atmosphere. Fog-choked plantations, wide-eyed stares, and that sense of losing one's very self to another's will. What's remarkable about White Zombie isn't just its first-ever zombie status, but how unrelenting its mood is. The early 1930s rarely saw movies this hypnotic. Sound design is eerie, with drums and distant chants, and the camera lingers on hypnotic eyes and blank faces. Lugosi is mesmerizing, delivering one of his best-ever villain performances. The theme of being robbed of your agency is genuinely frightening. The movie's message about losing control, being forced into obedience, and the exploitation of others is subtextual but powerful, especially when you recall the historical context of the time. Unlike later, gorier zombie films, the horror here is existential. To be turned into a mindless worker, forced to labor endlessly. There's no end, no hope. The supporting cast, too, play it completely straight, grounding the strange proceedings in reality. Every scene feels like a fever dream. White Zombie may feel slow to modern audiences, but its style is hypnotic and its subject matter dark in a way that lingers long after the credits roll. If you want to see where cinematic nightmares of the undead began, this is your starting point, and it's far creepier than you'd expect. Number 10. The Old Dark House, 1932. James Whale, famous for his Frankenstein, turns the haunted house genre on its ear with The Old Dark House, a film that's as much a sly comedy as it is a nightmare. A group of travelers is forced to shelter in a crumbling mansion during a storm, only to find its inhabitants are some of the oddest, most unsettling people in all of cinema. The house is a labyrinth of secrets, shadows, and unexpected dangers. What sets this film apart is the way it plays with your expectations. Just when you think you know what kind of horror you're getting, it switches tone or character. There's an atmosphere of barely contained madness. Boris Karloff, in a nearly wordless performance as the hulking butler Morgan, radiates threat and unpredictability. The rest of the family is no less bizarre: a religious fanatic, a pyromaniac, and an invalid patriarch locked in a room upstairs. The tension comes from never knowing who is about to turn violent or what weird family ritual might emerge next. Whale's direction emphasizes the oppressive space of the house, making it a character in itself. Doors slam shut on their own, shadows creep along the walls, and every thunderclap seems to bring some new peril. For 1932 audiences, this was deeply disturbing, especially with its hints of family secrets and moral decay. The movie feels wild and unpredictable even today. There are moments of grim humor that serve only to make the shocks more jarring. Whale manages to blend psychological unease with a sense of lurking physical danger, crafting a pre-code classic that still unsettles and entertains. The Old Dark House isn't just a haunted house movie. It's a portrait of people on the brink of madness, trapped with their worst fears, and yours. Number 9. The Mask of Fu Manchu, 1932. If The Mask of Fu Manchu is infamous today, it's for its sheer audacity. Boris Karloff dons elaborate makeup and plays the legendary villain Dr. Fu Manchu in a plot full of wild schemes, secret chambers, and a never-ending parade of torturous inventions. What's truly disturbing about this film isn't just the main character's malevolence, but how enthusiastically the movie embraces themes of cruelty and domination. Every scene seems to up the ante, from secret rituals to elaborate punishments. The villain's goals are as grand as they are unsettling, seeking ancient weapons to subjugate the world. Karloff's performance is gleefully menacing as he barks orders to his followers and orchestrates elaborate traps for his enemies. The film's production design is striking, with dungeons, spiked pits, and secret passageways. There's an underlying sense of the forbidden. The camera lingers on scenes of torment and close-ups of faces in terror, making you squirm even as you're drawn in. For all its pulp adventure trappings, the Mask of Fu Manchu isn't afraid to go dark. The threat of torture, the psychological games, and the sense of constant peril make it a truly pre-code experience. It's a movie about a world in chaos, ruled by someone who takes pleasure in inflicting pain. Karloff's Dr. Fu Manchu is a villain without conscience, and his presence hangs over the film like a shadow. Despite its outmoded depictions and problematic elements, the film's willingness to push boundaries and unsettle viewers is pure pre-code, and a big part of why it remains such a wild and unnerving watch. Number 8. 13 Women, 1932. 13 Women is an early proto-slasher, a murder mystery that focuses on psychological manipulation and revenge, long before those were staples of the genre. Myrna Loy is the standout here, playing Ursula Georgi, a woman bent on destroying a circle of former classmates who wronged her. The methods aren't knives or axes, her weapons are words, carefully orchestrated schemes, and a deep understanding of human fear. Through anonymous letters, hypnotic suggestions, and psychological torment, Ursula sets off a domino effect that drives her targets to ruin. The film's structure is chilling. One by one, each woman meets a terrible fate, often by their own hands, as Ursula's manipulations take root. The sense of inevitability is what makes this so disturbing. You know doom is coming, but you're powerless to stop it, just like the victims. The performances are intense, and the script is unflinching in its portrayal of broken minds and tormented lives. What sets 13 Women apart from other mysteries of the era is its raw emotional violence. Loy's performance is subtle but menacing. She's not a cackling villain, but a quiet, methodical force of destruction. The camera lingers on expressions of doubt, fear, and growing panic. The film's willingness to show characters unraveling, both mentally and morally, is striking for its time. Pre-code Hollywood rarely allowed women this much agency, especially when that agency is used to destroy. Even though its shocks are psychological rather than graphic, 13 Women is genuinely unnerving, a dark thriller that gets under your skin and stays there. Number 7. The Black Cat, 1934. Few films from any era are as dreamlike and as disturbing as The Black Cat. Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi face off in a story about obsession, betrayal, and the occult, set in a starkly modernist mansion built over the ruins of a battlefield. The film's architecture alone is a nightmare. Cold, sharp lines, sterile spaces, and a sense of being trapped in someone else's warped vision of reality. Every inch of the set is designed to make you uncomfortable. What really sets The Black Cat apart is its subject matter. This is a movie where the villain is a cult leader, where past war crimes are revealed in brutal flashbacks, and where the threat of violence is ever present. Karloff plays Hjalmar Polzig, a man who keeps the mummified bodies of his past victims, conducts dark rituals, and exerts control over everyone in his house. Lugosi is the tormented avenger, seeking justice for wrongs committed long ago. Their cat-and-mouse dynamic is tense, twisted, and deeply personal. The pre-code era allowed this film to push limits. There are scenes of psychological torment, hints of unspeakable rituals, and a sense of dread that never lets up. The violence, while not graphic by today's standards, is shocking for its time. Torture, entombment, and mind games all play a part. The real horror, though, is in the details. Whispered secrets, lingering glances, and the slow realization that the house is a prison for everyone inside. The Black Cat is a fever dream, a stylish nightmare, and one of the most disturbing films of its day. Number 6. Freaks, 1932. No pre-code film is as infamous or as unsettling as Todd Browning's Freaks. Set in a circus sideshow, the film uses real-life performers with physical differences as it stars and never lets you look away. What starts as a melodrama about love and betrayal turns into a story of retribution, with one of the most chilling endings in all of cinema. The movie's use of real people, never mocking, but presenting them as a community, forces viewers to confront their own prejudices. What's truly disturbing about Freaks isn't the so-called monsters, but the so-called normal characters. The plot centers on a trapeze artist who plots to marry and poison a sideshow performer for his money. The revenge that follows is swift and merciless, iconic for the chant, one of us," which has echoed through pop culture ever since. The film's final act, as the sideshow community takes justice into its own hands during a thunderstorm, is pure nightmare fuel. Browning's direction is both sympathetic and unsparing. There's no sentimentality here, just the raw facts of life on the margins. The ending, which was so shocking that it got the film banned in multiple countries, remains one of the most effective and disturbing scenes in any horror film. The film's lasting legacy is its ability to provoke both empathy and fear, often at the same time. Watching Freaks is an unsettling experience. You can't help but feel for the characters, even as the film drags you into the darkness of their world. Number 5. Island of Lost Souls, 1932. Adapted from H.G. Wells' The Island of Dr. Moreau, Island of Lost Souls is a parable about science gone wrong and the dangers of playing with the natural order. Charles Laughton stars as Dr. Moreau, a charismatic but utterly ruthless scientist whose experiments on a remote island have produced a population of half-human, half-animal creatures. The makeup effects were groundbreaking for the time, and still disturbing today. The movie's power lies in its relentless atmosphere. The island is a place of suffering, where Moreau rules through fear and cruelty. The House of Pain, where Moreau conducts his operations, is the setting for some of the era's most unsettling scenes. The cries of the creatures as they're changed, the terror in their eyes, and the growing realization that they're more human than their creator, all combine to create a film that's deeply unsettling. The chant, "Are we not men?" echoes throughout the film as the creatures begin to question their existence and their oppressor. There's a sense of moral chaos. Who deserves compassion, and who is truly the monster? Laughton is terrifying in his calm, almost gentle approach to cruelty, and the supporting cast plays their roles with tragic sincerity. The ending, where the creatures finally turn on their tormentor, is both horrifying and strangely triumphant. Island of Lost Souls pushes the boundaries of what could be shown on screen at the time, and its legacy as a disturbing meditation on cruelty and rebellion is well earned. It's not just a tale of monsters, but a warning about the dangers of unchecked ambition. Number 4. Murders in the Rue Morgue, 1932. Loosely based on Edgar Allan Poe's classic story, Murders in the Rue Morgue is a surreal, dreamlike film that twists reality into something dark and dangerous. Bela Lugosi stars as Dr. Miracle, a sideshow performer and scientist obsessed with the origins of humanity. His experiments are grisly, and his methods, using an ape to abduct women and perform experiments, are pure nightmare. The film's Parisian setting is all fog, narrow alleys, and looming shadows. Every set feels claustrophobic and dangerous, as if something could leap from the darkness at any moment. Lugosi is, as always, magnetic, his wide eyes and intense delivery turning every line into a threat. The movie doesn't rely on gore, but on implication. What's being done to the victims is left largely to the imagination, which only makes it worse. The scenes of abduction, the atmosphere of scientific obsession, and the ever-present threat of the ape combine to make Murders in the Rue Morgue one of the era's most unsettling films. The sense of the forbidden is constant. What's happening just off-screen is almost too much to contemplate. For a 1932 audience, these were boundary-pushing ideas. Science as villain, humanity as prey. Murders in the Rue Morgue is a feverish, unhinged film. Its blend of mad science, animal menace, and creeping dread make it a cornerstone of pre-code horror, and one of the most disturbingly imaginative films of its time. Number 3. Dr. X, 1932. Dr. X is one of the most visually distinct and narratively twisted horror films of the pre-code era. Shot in early two-color Technicolor, the movie has an unnatural, sickly look that enhances its already unsettling atmosphere. The plot follows Dr. Xavier, who is forced to use experimental methods to hunt down a cannibalistic killer among a group of his own colleagues. The story is a blend of mystery, horror, and morbid humor, unlike anything else of its day. What makes Dr. X so disturbing isn't just the premise, but the way it's executed. The film is full of scientific apparatuses, flickering lights, and scenes of medical experimentation. The killer's methods are gruesome, even by today's standards, and the movie never shies away from suggesting terrible fates for its victims. There's a sense of decay in every scene, with rotting bodies, shadowy corridors, and characters who seem one step away from madness. Fay Wray, best known for King Kong, is the endangered heroine, caught between the rational world of science and the irrational horror that's stalking her. The film's final act, involving a wild synthetic flesh transformation, is both absurd and genuinely horrifying. The killer's reveal with a grotesque mask-like face is one of the great shocks of early horror. Dr. X walks a fine line between camp and true dread, but it's the film's willingness to show scientific curiosity turning to madness and the resulting consequences that makes it one of the most disturbing films of its era. Number 2. The Sin of Norah Moran, 1933. This is the wildest entry. By far, the strangest, most psychologically intense film on this list. The Sin of Norah Moran is a fever dream of a movie, blending melodrama, crime, and horror into something entirely its own. The film tells the story of Norah Moran, a young woman facing execution for a crime she didn't commit. What makes this film truly disturbing is its narrative structure. It unfolds in a series of flashbacks, dreams, and hallucinations, fragmenting time and blurring reality. The film delves deep into Norah's mind as she relives her past, haunted by guilt, fear, and the knowledge of her impending fate. The movie is full of surreal imagery, faces dissolving into shadows, memories intruding on the present, and moments of pure psychological torment. For a film of its era, the willingness to explore themes of memory, regret, and destiny is nothing short of revolutionary. Norah's journey is a spiral into despair. She's trapped by circumstance, betrayed by those she trusted, and condemned by a system that refuses to hear her. The sense of hopelessness is overwhelming, yet the film never loses its grip on the viewer. The central performance is raw and heartbreaking, grounding the film's surreal flourishes in genuine emotion. The dreamlike narrative, coupled with stark visual imagery, makes the film both hypnotic and deeply disturbing. What makes The Sin of Norah Moran the wildest film on this list isn't just its plot, but its refusal to play by the rules. It's a movie about fate, conscience, and the impossibility of escape, a waking nightmare that leaves you shaken and uncertain about what is real. Number 1. The Beast of the City, 1932. This MGM shocker is less a monster movie than a portrait of human darkness, blending crime, horror, and moral ambiguity. And directed by Charles Brabin, it stars Walter Houston as a hard-nosed police captain who descends into brutality to combat a crime wave. The film pulls no punches. Corruption, vigilantism, and mob violence are all front and center. What makes The Beast of the City so disturbing is its portrayal of justice gone wrong. Law enforcement becomes as ruthless as the criminals they're fighting, and the line between right and wrong blurs until it disappears. Scenes of mob vengeance, betrayals, and public executions are staged with a raw intensity rare for the time. Jean Harlow, in an early role, adds to the film's seedy atmosphere, playing a femme fatale who manipulates everyone around her. The film's climax is shocking, a massacre in a courthouse orchestrated in the name of order but resulting in chaos and bloodshed. The message is clear. When society's protectors become monsters, no one is safe. The Beast of the City is a harrowing pre-code vision of a world where horror is found not in the supernatural, but in the hearts of those sworn to protect us. So, there you have it. 11 of the most disturbing, unforgettable horror films from the wildest corner of pre-code Hollywood. Which one do you think is the creepiest? Did we leave out your favorite nightmare? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed diving into the darker side of classic cinema, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more chilling movie countdowns. Your support helps us keep the scares coming.